Why the mischievous grin, Harry?
I was just internally chortling about.
Beef jerky time.
If like me, fed up of going to the shop, fucking sort it out. If like me, I don't. Well, fucking. What am I trying to say? Let's try not to swear. Right, I'm going to teach how to make jerky. I'm not saying this is the way to make jerky. I'm saying this is how I make jerky. So, and it takes a little bit of planning as well, the way I do it, which is the way we are doing it now. So consider this the day before. The first thing we are going to need is some soy sauce, dark soy sauce, and a measuring jug, vestibule, something to measure 50 ml. I suppose you could use this. Actually, yeah, let's use a shot glass. Let's see if it is 50 ml. Next, now you can use. See, they've got kind of a similar fucking label, but they are two different things. You can use Worcestershire sauce, as the Canadians say or whatever. But I don't. I use the old Hendos, and again we want 50 ml of this. The last batch I did, I used Manuka honey. But if you're going to use Manuka honey, you might as well buy commercially made beef jerky because of how expensive it is. I'm using maple syrup. Now, I don't think it matters that much if you use maple syrup or honey, because I've used both and I can't tell the difference, really. Actually, no, I can, you know. So 50 ml of that. 50 ml of maple syrup. I can taste the difference actually in maple syrup. It gives it like a slightly, I don't know how to explain food, but like a slightly duller sweetness. I'll try and think of a way to explain that sensation. The next step, I think, is completely unnecessary, but this is what I do, and so I'm going to do it and film it so that you know what I do, basically. That's all the measuring we need to do of liquids. Right, so that's all the measuring we need to do of liquids. I've changed my mind. No, I haven't. Like, we do need to measure some more stuff, but not liquids. Now, I use this stuff that you get from Costco, the coarse ground Malabar pepper, because of how much we're going to use. And I suppose a pestle and mortar, is that what they're called? You could do it with that, actually, but I don't, because this shit is the shit. So I'll go with that 3 teaspoons of black pepper, a teaspoon of garlic powder, again, Costco represent, again, Costco, chopped onion. I used to grind this up because they come in quite big flakes and that, I don't know, yeah, you can kind of see that. They come in quite big flakes, but if you just use 2 of those, well, if you're going to mash them up, use 1 teaspoon. If not, use 2 and do this method. The chipotle chipotle, whatever this is called. This stuff, just put as much as you want in. There's no, like, I don't really measure this bit. And I've just noticed I'm putting more liquid in. That was probably about 25 milliliters. Some of the chipotle Tabasco sauce. Let's give it a little shake first, actually. You might be supposed to keep this stuff in the fridge, but no one does. Let's put like 3 or 4 big drops of that in there. And I think this and the other Cholula hot sauce combined is what gives it like this A, this sort of smokiness, B, like an evolving sense of taste. It'd be good if I knew what I was talking about. Also, I think there's another 2 ingredients off the top. No, there's not. There's another 3. Smoked, and make sure it is smoked paprika. The smokier the better. I usually use one that I bought from TK Maxx. That is like the smokiest paprika I've ever come across. But like 1.5 massively heaped teaspoons, or I mean, I've never understood measuring stuff in teaspoons and that, because it depends how much you can balance. But basically, however much you can balance on a teaspoon, 2 of them, give or take. Cayenne pepper. Don't try tipping this straight in, because this, you can overdo it massively with this. That is about as much as I would use. Yeah, so over a really, really low heat, we want to add some sugar. Demerara sugar is fine. Molasses is fine. I've started using like this organic, like hipster coconut sugar. So let's use that, I suppose. Organic raw coconut sugar. And this stuff, like, you don't need as much. If you're going to use just normal Demerara sugar, maybe 3 tablespoons. This stuff, I'm just going to put, like, I don't know, 2 heaped teaspoons in. And then just give that a little stir. And the reason you want it over a low heat is because you don't want it to boil. You don't want the sugar to... because you've also got all the maple syrup in there as well. You don't want that to burn. Because it will just fuck everything up. But yeah, basically 10 minutes of just messing about with this over a low heat. Now, when I say this step is unnecessary, it is completely unnecessary, because like, you can taste this now. And it already tastes like beef jerky. However, I don't know, like, if you've ever cooked, say, a chili or a curry, and clearly everyone does this, they make too much. So you've got a bit left over that you go back to the next day. The next day, the flavours have combined, and I don't know, something happens overnight and it makes it fucking taste a million times better. That's why I do this step the day before and heat it up a little bit. just so that everything fucking melds together, combines. I don't know what other words I can use, but I mean, if you're impatient, you can do this the same day. But the point about beef jerky is you're not trying to cook. At any point, are you trying to cook the beef? So heat is the last thing you want to add to it. I mean, not the last. There's probably like 15 things I could think of immediately that you don't want to add to it. Like battery acid or a hypnol or things like that. But you know what I mean. Temperature wise, heat is not recommended. So do this the day before, leave it overnight, let the flavours really fucking whiz around and combine. And then we get to the next step. Next step, get some kitchen towel. I think it'd be cool if I stopped walking in front of the light, but whatever. And these thin cut beef steaks. Now, I did film me shopping for these, but I don't know if that's going to make it into the cut because I haven't watched the footage yet. This might be a bit of a fuck up on Tesco's behalf. Not that. They're $2.99, but it says $2.49. Not that bothered because they're about the same price in Lidl, but you only get 3. So all we're looking for is this colour with as little fat on as you can get. So this one's a good one. I'll go for that because we can trim the fat off it. So I'm in Lidl, the cheapest place on earth, and for 35 grams it's $1.29 for jerky. Focus, you can't. I'll probably narrate this again when I get back, but this list of ingredients is farcical. See how much fucking water is being soaked up already. Well, I suppose water and blood, but it is a dead animal after all. So you can repeat this stage a few times if you want. The more moisture we get out now, the better. And if I was selling this beef jerky, bearing in mind that 35 grams is about £1.35. What have we got here? So basically 400 grams to begin with. So we'll probably end up with about 300 grams. So whatever maths that ends up being. Well, 35 grams is £1.35. So 350 grams would be £13.50. If I was charging £13.50 for this, I would definitely keep doing this every sort of 5 minutes. Suck as much moisture out as you can. I don't know if you can see that. Good quality kitchen towel though, because my finger's not going through it. But yeah. In fact, I'm going to do this just to fucking prove how much moisture, how much extra water they add to beef. And also why these steaks are no good for anything other than making jerky out of.
You're boiling a burger.
Because you try frying them, you just end up fucking boiling them. Because of how much water there is in them. You don't have to use one of these bags, but I do. And this is how I do it, so that's why I'm showing you this. One of these bags with the little, whatever these are called, smart zip seal with a Wi-Fi and that, I don't know, whatever. So, into here, right, so that is the juice that we made yesterday, the marinade. And it doesn't look like a lot. And if you do get impatient, you can do it on the same day. Just run this bag under the tap for maybe half an hour. Well, not half, I don't know. However long it takes to fucking cool down to less than room temperature. I mean, if you've got another fridge, you can just stick it in the fridge. Or wait till it's cooled down a bit, put it in your normal fridge. Because you're not supposed to put warm things in fridges, because you're just not. Right, so here is the jerky marinade. See, it's like slightly syrupy. Because the point is, we want to try and draw as much moisture out of the meat as we can, so we don't want to add too much moisture. So, see, there's still water coming out of these steaks, but it doesn't matter too much. No one's complained yet. So, open the bag. Get one of your steaks and just drop it in the bag, basically. I mean, you could have guessed that step. Make sure it's nice and covered. Then get another one of your steaks. Make sure that's nice and covered. Like, that's the reason I use these bags, so I don't get the syrup juice all over my fingers. But at some point, you probably will have to. Just wait till you've got all the steaks in. Now, the mixture that I gave at the beginning will easily do 4 of these steaks, but it will do up to about 8 of these steaks. And make sure that with every steak that you put in, it gets a nice little coating before you put the next one in, because that's important. Right, so that's all the steaks in that I'm going to do for this run, anyway, for this video. And you can do... See, that's why these bags are pretty magical, because you can do all this without getting your hands sticky, even though your hands will taste like beef jerky. It's not that nice having to wash them, because it is quite like a treacly fucking texture on your hands. Right, so mash them up. See, the reason I use these steaks and not the butchers is because I've been to the 6 most local butchers. Like, I'm all about supporting independent businesses, but when those independent businesses don't have a fucking clue about jerky, then I'm not interested. Every single butcher's that I went to, they didn't know what cut was best for beef jerky. And none of them had a machine that will slice it as thin as this. So I just thought, forget it, I'm going to Tesco. And then I remembered they do these, like, little... I'm sure they used to be called sandwich steaks. But yeah, so basically just stick that in the fridge anywhere from 4 hours to 24 hours. It doesn't really matter. Luckily I did one yesterday. That's been in the fridge probably about 24 hours now. There were a lot more in there that I've since made. But again, let's get 2 bits of kitchen roll. Pull the steak out and wrap the steak. Now, if you are only going to marinate them for about 4 hours, it's a good idea to check them every sort of hour or two to make sure that they didn't fold up in the bag and there's bits that are unmarinated. Because I've done that before, and it just means you have to wait longer for your jerky to be ready. But yeah, flatten them out, pat them dry. Now I don't know if this is going to be a question asked, but can you reuse the marinade? You might be able to, I don't know. But part of the fun that I've had over the last few months is experimenting with recipes. Trying honey instead of dickhead. Honey instead of maple syrup. Throwing a little bit of Jack Daniels or Wild Turkey or something in there, that works quite well. I've used Frank's hot sauce instead of the Chipotle Cholula hot sauce. That didn't work so well. Part of this is experimenting, so using the same marinade for more than one batch just seems a bit pointless. Mess around, try different types of sugar, whatever. Oh, hang on then. Light just died. Okay, so once you've dried those out a bit, again, the point is to get rid of as much moisture as possible. Just stick them on some sort of oven rack or cooling rack or whatever. And then the next step. So yeah, the next step. This looks fairly like crude, I suppose. All it is a box. Stick the jerky in front of it, and there's a fan there. And then, I mean, if you've got one, I just put this I don't know what they're called, like salad keeper fresher things on. Just if you're worried about like spiders dropping on them or, you know, rogue flies or whatever. That noise could get a bit annoying, but motherfucker. So yeah, that is about all it is. Just a fan blowing the air off. I used to do jerky in the oven, and you can do it, but once you've done it like this, you will not do it in the oven anymore. But anyway, luckily I did this bit yesterday, so I've got some ready to show you that now. So this has just basically been in front of a fan for 24 hours maybe. And all there is left to do now is chop it up into little bite-sized pieces and either send it to my friends who are lucky enough to try it or just eat all of it. Can we see that? Can I remember how this works? Fucking piece of shit. What are you doing? I don't want to set the time. Why would I want to set the time? Why are you trying to tell me the time anyway, you fucking freak? Come on now! Okay, so is that in grams? Yep. There is a little G on there. So this is 1.5 of those beef things. 277 grams. God damn it. Yeah, one thing I should have said is, if you're thinking of storing this for, I mean, not that this will last longer than probably a day, but if you are thinking of storing this long in the day or posting it to someone or whatever, make sure you get all the bits of fat off, because I mean, this will last for months, but the fat won't. I don't know what wizardry happens with the, I think it's the soy sauce that preserves it, but it won't preserve the fat, and the fat will just go like manky and will make everything else go manky. So make sure, yeah, just make sure you get rid of the fat, basically. But you can say that about most things, society stuff. That's why people go to the gym. Anyway, I think I'll end this one here. That's how I make jerky. Sometimes I smoke it. I'll show you how to do that in a different episode. Thanks for watching. See ya.